Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.
Hi, everyone. We're recording. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen, and our guest today is the head football coach who's going on his 23rd year as head coach. 23 years. Coach Ken Sears of St. Paul's High School in Covington, Louisiana. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Lee. Really appreciate it. And thank you everything you do for prep football for all of our prep players out there.
Coach, 23 years ago, what are you thinking? Did you think that you just click your fingers all of a sudden? I mean, 23 years went by fast or slow or what? What do you think?
It's as you get older, the days go by faster.
Right.
Which, it is the sad part about getting old. But, it's been a wonderful ride for me here. I've been very fortunate to be in one place and for a long time. And, we just try to take one day at a time and work on constantly building our kids up and trying to build our program. So it's been a lifelong work, but the work continues.
Coach, you're not just the head coach, but you're also the dean of students at St. Paul's. And I want to give a little history out about the school. It was established in 1911. Coach, that's a long time. 1911, Roman Catholic private school, all-boys school in Covington, Louisiana. The campus, I got to tell you this, and I want to just kind of draw a picture, but being on campus a few times, it reminds me of like a miniature Ole Miss for high school football, for high school, just high school, going to high school. I love the inside the school where you have the walk, and it just has a feel of like a mini college to me, like a Jesuit in New Orleans, like a, Catholic of Baton Rouge, very similar.
It's certainly a special place. A lot of people who come on campus that hadn't been there before always say, I always ask, is this a college too as well? It's got a great beauty to it, a great feel to it, it's also a big campus. It's like 40 plus acres, so we're pretty much spread out as well.
Coach, we'll talk about your current seniors because of COVID, and the transfer portal. You talked about it, how it's affecting high school football with signees, and then we'll talk about your upcoming seniors, and we'll also talk about some of the famous people that have come out of St. Paul's, not just sports, but in life. A lot of great graduates come out of the school over the years. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have more of Coach Ken Sears, St. Paul's High School in Covington, the head football coach and the dean of students. Not something you hear every time, being a head coach and also the dean. Carries a lot of responsibilities. We'll be right back. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm Lee Brecheen, your host. Our guest today is Ken Sears, the head football coach of St. Paul's High School in Covington, Louisiana. Coach, you're a Holy Cross graduate of 1985. I just found that out by looking up your information. You were it seemed like everybody went to Holy Cross back in the day.
Yeah, Holy Cross was a gigantic school back then. I'm not sure about the size of it now, and I know they opened up the campus K through 8 at the time. They had a middle school, which started in 5th grade. But I went back at the old campus pre-Katrina days when it was in the 9th Ward. But very special place, and very proud to be an alum of Holy Cross.
I read an article that you did, I think, with the Times-Picayune, Coach, about a year ago, and it asked you about what would you like to do if you didn't have to coach football because it's a demanding, 80 hours a week. I know the feeling just living that life, just promoting all the schools in the state. But you said you would like to fish and hunt again like you did as a kid, and I can relate to that, Coach, because I don't get to do that anymore with my job, and I grew up hunting and fishing just like you, and that's something I do miss.
Yeah, no doubt. And, just the time involved with football kind of takes that away, and your seasons kind of overlap especially hunting season, and you don't get many opportunities to fish during the summer, or even free fishing out in the fall as well when it gets a little cold. So every opportunity I get, I try to take it, but they're too few and far in between.
Yeah, I feel like when I go fishing now, Coach, it's like I got a ticket to a Super Bowl game or something. It's been so long.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You kind of don't want to leave the fishing trip. It's like, I got to go back to work. Now, I love my job, but, man, fishing is nothing like fishing. Coach, I got to ask you this. Being that you're from New Orleans and now you're on the North Shore, there's salt water everywhere in that part of the state. But are you a freshwater fisherman growing up or a saltwater fisherman, or both?
Salt water. My family, my mom's side's from Delacroix Island, so and my great grandmother lived down there until she passed, and we've had a house and camps that all have been destroyed by Katrina, but we still go down there and fish. When we do get the opportunity. But I kind of grew up down there with my uncles and relatives and all that. Down there in Delacroix Island, which we always laugh about it and say it's kind of the Disney World of fishing, because even on a bad day, you're going to catch something. So, but I do miss going down there and miss the old days. It's changed a lot since Katrina, but it's still a great place to go fishing.
Coach, you're like me. You grew up. We're both in our 50s, but you grew up where there was no limit on trout back in the 70s. Remember those days when they had plenty of trout? And
yeah.
You could throw just a hook in the water and catch two at a time. Remember those days?
Yeah, and they didn't have the same limits they have on duck hunting as well. So
right, it's changed. Everything has changed. I'm gonna take a quick break. When we come back, I want to ask you about your oldest son, who was on the cover of our magazine back in the day, Kenny. Your former quarterback is now on your staff. I want to ask you about that. We're going to start talking about your seniors, your current seniors, and then later in the show, I want to talk about your seniors coming up for the 222 class, but we still need to talk about these 221 players that are still trying to sign, so you've got some good players that are still available. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Looking for a used car? Harvey Autos has 3 dealerships, which means 3 times the used vehicles. They've got everything from fuel-efficient compacts to luxury models, even hybrids, and certified pre-owned with a warranty. Check out John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, or Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Our guest today is Ken Sears, the head football coach, going into his 23rd year at St. Paul's High School as the head coach of St. Paul's, one of the great high schools in the state of Louisiana on the North Shore. Not too far from the New Orleans area. You just cross that Causeway Bridge for about 20, 30 minutes, and you're in Covington, Mandeville, Madisonville. Those some great, beautiful areas. Coach, your son went to Northwestern State. Your oldest son, Kenny, a quarterback, and I had a chance to see your son play. Played for you at St. Paul's, signed with Northwestern State where you went to school, and now you told me yesterday he's now on your staff as a coach. Man, you've got to be just excited about having your son on your staff and bringing the college experience, too, as a quarterback. And he was a 6'3" quarterback for you. And what's it like to have him on the staff? And then we're going to talk about your youngest son later in the show. You got one on the staff and then one on the team.
Certainly it's special every day to go to work with him. And, and actually it's the first time all 3 of us have been here together, because Danny wasn't at St. Paul's yet when Kenny was here. So it's just a great time for us to be together and share football the last couple of years. And Kenny has definitely come in and done a fantastic job. His first full year as offensive coordinator was last year for us, and did a great job. He brings a lot of knowledge and experience from playing in college, and he was always one of those fiery guys that, when he played for me, very sharp with a bunch of different ideas in terms of, the passing game. And, it's always great to have young coaches on your staff, but it's certainly special to have a young coach like your son that's that energetic and, that in tune to what's going on offense out there today, and trying to implement it to our program.
Coach, to talk about your seniors currently, me and you had a long talk, and I've talked to a lot of high school coaches. Obviously, this transfer portal, college coaches are living in it right now, and they're signing less high school players, and that's affected a lot of your kids too. But you had a really good senior group this year, and I wanted to go through these guys. And the first kid I wanted to talk about is Gavin Clayton, your big D tackle, who's a nose guard D1 kid, 6'4", 6'5", 340, 350, can move. What do you think of Gavin? He's still available for colleges, and this is a D1 lineman that you have currently that's a senior.
I tell you what, Gavin is just a gigantic kid, and he really came in and did a fantastic job for us this year. We dealt with a few injuries and quarantines here and there, and he really stepped up and played well for us on the inside. Gavin brings tremendous size and strength. Certainly, he's a kid who deserves an opportunity to play on the next level if he gets it.
And all these kids are great students. And then you got another great player, former quarterback for you, who played tight end, Garrett Larderbach, 6'3", 215, 220, with hands, can run. I've seen this kid play for you. He's another guy that's a legitimate 1AA, could be a small D1 guy. But talk about Garrett Larderbach transitioning from quarterback from you to tight end. It looks like he did a pretty good job.
He did a fantastic job making that transition, and actually he wound up making all district as a tight end, and wound up making all metro as well. But Garrett's 6'3", good rangy kid. Probably about 210. But he had tremendous athletic skills, and he was on top of the board of our lead receiving group, and he probably was second in receptions and yardage for us this past year, and he did a great job blocking for us as well. So he really fit well into that role, and probably that's where he would fit the next level. He definitely has a great skill set and really smart kid.
Coach, is he still available, or did he sign late?
He's still available, but he's also out there looking at some schools for lacrosse as well. He's a heck of a lacrosse player, and they're starting to get their season underway. So he may have some opportunities for lacrosse as well.
I want to run through these names, and I've seen these kids play for you. Not just that they're prospects, but I think you'd appreciate this. Just good seniors for you, even if they don't play college ball. But Cole Piazza, a receiver. Justin Boeheim, a great punter. I think would be a good college punter. Owen Vincent's a safety for you. Jacob Frolich, a defensive end, D tackle. Nicholas Venning, offensive lineman, very good player. Mitchell Smith, an athlete for you, played everywhere. Dylan Porsche, offensive lineman. Preston Calvert, a safety, linebacker type for you. Joshua Sabity, a D tackle. I mean, this is a pretty impressive group of guys. And what do you think of Justin Boeheim as a punter, Coach? He's got a great hang time on the ball.
I tell you what, Justin, I think can play on the next level. He was another all-district, all-metro guy, in all-parish. He may have been one of the best punters we've ever had come through St. Paul's. He had a great hang time, great distance. He also had a knack for that coffin corner kick, and getting it out of bounds and pinning somebody deep. And I can't tell you how many times he also doubled as a receiver for us, so he has good hands. And I can't tell you how many times maybe we had a high snap or a snap that was off, and he could pull it down, and get the punt off. Yeah. But certainly he would be a find for some college program.
What a great group, and as always, you've got a great, great bunch of guys, whether they're D1 or not. You've always got a good 15 or 20 seniors. Coach, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to ask you about how some of the St. Paul's kids are doing in college currently for you, that played for you, and talk about some of the state championships to come out of the school, not just football, but other sports like baseball, powerlifting, soccer, tennis, and track, all state champions over the years at St. Paul's. And then we're going to talk about your upcoming seniors. You got a good-looking group coming back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. We're going to be right back with more of Ken Sears at St. Paul's High School. So, hey guys, just wanted to take a minute to tell you about Harvey Autos. If you need a new or used car, there's 3 great dealerships right here worth checking out. John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, and Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Low prices, honest people. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. Our guest today is Ken Sears, the head football coach at St. Paul's High School in Covington, Louisiana, as they call the North Shore. Coach, athletics at St. Paul's is not just strong in football, but baseball won a state championship in 2019. Football district champs in 90, 2005, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, and 16. Powerlifting state champions in 2012. Soccer state champions in 2011, tennis state champions in 91, and track and field won their first district championship in 2012. Coach, what a across the board St. Paul's is just dominating in a lot of different categories.
Well, we've had strong athletic programs across the board, and one thing about our school is a lot of those athletes cross over and play other sports. So we're still one of those schools that are not, big enough to have kids on an island. And, a lot of our guys, I've got some guys who play football, baseball. We've got guys who play football, basketball. We've got guys who run track. So, in today's day and age, the specialization, at some of these larger high schools are in play, but really not at our place. I've got some tremendous soccer players to be our kickers and also help us in the secondary. So we're pretty unique in that. You have an opportunity to play more than one sport at our place.
I don't want to leave this out because I don't want cross country to get mad at me, Coach. 6 state championships, 4 consecutively from 98 to 2001. And lacrosse, you mentioned lacrosse, state champions in 2017. The bowling team, not a lot of schools have a bowling team. St. Paul's has a bowling team. Y'all have an inline hockey team. I didn't know that.
Actually, I don't think we've done that in a while, inline hockey. We do have a rugby team. I think inline hockey went out a few years back, but we have rugby now.
And this is something I did not know that St. Paul's had, an ultimate Frisbee team. I had no idea.
Yeah, we have one of those.
Coach, before we get into your upcoming seniors, I want to talk about some of the kids that have come out of St. Paul's that you've coached. I know Tyler Helm. I know Mike Helm, his dad, went to Tulane. We actually did his highlight tape and went to Fork Union, a tight end that played for you. Mickey Johnson signed with LSU, a D tackle back in the 2000s. And then my favorite baseball player of all time was Ryan Shemp, who played at St. Paul's, LSU. Andy Canizero, baseball coach. Houston Bates had a great career at Illinois and played at a couple of colleges, was a DN for you, linebacker. And then what do you think, Coach, of Jack Mashburn, what he's done at LSU as a walk-on? He actually played last year on special teams. He looks pretty good right now.
I tell you what, and it doesn't surprise me at all. Matter of fact, right before everything shut down with COVID, I went to the last spring practice at LSU and got an opportunity to see Jack practice. And, he was rotating right in there with the twos and getting a rep or two with the ones. And I wasn't surprised at all. And, he was one of those guys. He played quarterback for us, but before that, we had him at tight end. And he was one of these guys that could do a bunch of things really well. And it doesn't surprise me that he's having the success that he's having at LSU. He's a tremendous athlete and really tough kid as well, and very smart, has a high football IQ.
I want to mention this, too. Another famous alumnus for moviegoers, and you probably know this, Coach, but Ian Somerhalder, actor, was known for the series Lost and Vampire Diaries, was a St. Paul's graduate. You probably taught this kid, probably, huh, Ian Somerhalder?
You know what? People tell me that, and Ian must have been a really good kid. He didn't get in trouble, so he didn't come involved.
He didn't have to see the dean of students, yeah.
No.
We're going to take a break, Coach. When we come back, I want to talk about your current upcoming 2022 senior group. That's going to be the upcoming senior class coming up for 2021 season, but 2022 class. We'll be right back with more of Coach Ken Sears of St. Paul's High School in Covington, Louisiana. We'll be right back.
Parents, are you looking for advice on getting your high school athlete recruited by the right college? Lee Brecheen is your answer. Lee has been doing it for over 30 years. He knows the ropes, and more importantly, he knows the people. Lee offers turnkey service from evaluation, creating highlight tapes in the correct format, and complete guidelines for effective communication with the schools. No matter the sport, girl or boy, no matter what grade your child is in, let Lee Brecheen help match your child to the right college fit. Go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com, and get connected today.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. Again, just really happy to have Coach Ken Sears with us today, the St. Paul's head coach in Covington, Louisiana. Coach, your upcoming seniors, another talented group. Your past season, y'all had a good season considering the coronavirus. You had a lot of guys out because some guys were around people that had it, so you didn't have guys playing the playoffs when y'all played Jesuit. You had several guys that couldn't play. And then it was a good year for you. You always play tough teams. I actually watched your program play Edna Carr 2 years in a row, and y'all battled with Edna Carr as good as anybody. And y'all play Jesuit. Y'all play a lot of big-time John Curtis. I know you scrimmaged them a lot, too, in scrimmages. But this coming senior group, Coach, your quarterback, Grant Billison, who's got some size, a good player. Danny, your son, Daniel Sears. How you want me to call him, Danny or Daniel?
We all call him Danny.
Danny is obviously a fullback for you, a linebacker, 6 foot tall, 220, can run. Gunner Florella Dawson, a linebacker, a good player for you. Thomas Rushing, a defensive tackle, 6'2", 310. Nathan Vitale, a receiver, 5'9", 175. Brody Rena, a good receiver, coming back for you, 6'1", 185. Ben DeFore, center. Preston Hickey, a good-looking defensive end for you, 6'2", about 235. Nick Piazza, a linebacker, play some fullback for you. And Ben Koblik, who's a 5'5", 5'6" bowling ball for you, Coach, as an athlete. But what do you think of this group coming back as a core to build on that 220 season?
Well, the thing about these guys, our program the last 3 years, this group as freshmen, they went undefeated. They're a really tight-knit group. They have great chemistry with each other. And a lot of them got playing time as sophomores. A lot of them started as sophomores in our program. And our program's usually, 100 to 120 kids, from freshman level on up. But, some guys even saw some time as freshmen. So as a group, as the totality of the group, they have a lot of game experience. They have a lot of experience playing in big games as they go into their senior year. And the core group of these guys basically were starters for us last year. We were really young the last 2 years, and it's because of these guys showing some roles as sophomores, juniors. And like I said, even the year before as freshmen, a lot of them got a lot of playing time as freshmen. So, I like the chemistry of the group. Like I said, they're very tight-knit group. One thing about them is that, they don't accept losing, and they like challenges, and they work hard. And really last year, despite some of the setbacks of COVID and some of the things that we had to deal with during the year, we played a number of games last year where we were behind at half by a score, 2 scores, and came back and won. So, they kind of have that, never quit attitude, and that, they're all in and trying to win a game. And, they're a group of guys that really don't look at the clock.
Yeah.
They're worried about playing the game till the final buzzer.
Grant, Coach, how do you compare Grant Billison compared to some of your former quarterbacks like Jack Mashburn? And obviously you've had a lot of good quarterbacks over the years, but Grant's very good passer, got some talent, got some size. What do you think of Grant as a quarterback going into his senior year?
I tell you what, he started for us as a sophomore, and really that was the first time that we had a guy take over as a sophomore for a number of years. It may have been, we could probably go back, 10 years or so. But from his sophomore year to this year, he made tremendous leaps and definitely took over a leadership role. One thing about Grant is, he's very smart, high football IQ, but he's a kid who has tremendous arm strength. He can make every throw on the field. So he certainly brings that to the table. And, along with that, we got some guys we can get it to, that he can throw to. So very excited about the senior season and what he brings to the table for us this year.
Coach, your linebacking core is always a strength, it seems. It seems you always got 3 or 4 good linebackers. And your son, Danny Sears, is 6 foot tall, 220, can run, strong, tough kid. The Gunner kid is a tough kid too. Also, this Preston Hickey's a heck of a player at DN. He could play linebacker in college. And Nick Piazza kind of roams around a little bit as a hybrid linebacker. What do you think of this linebacking core that includes your son coming up, another strong unit for you?
Well, they all bring experience, and athleticism. Defensively, a lot of them are returning starters and have experience. Danny brings a size, as an inside linebacker. At the same time, he was our leading tackler. Also, Kier Nunez did a great job for us last year at linebacker. Gunner as well is physical, runs to the ball. As a unit, it may be one of the strongest units we've had in a while. They certainly make plays for us and it allows us to do some things. In terms of Preston, along with him and Thomas Rushing down on the D line, we also have Abe Richards back as another defensive lineman, and Jake Satches. Certainly, they're going to have opportunities for those guys to make plays. That front four is going to keep blocks off of those linebackers, and also allows us opportunities to put some pressure with those guys as well. Probably one of the best guys that we have, bringing pressure is Danny. Danny has a knack for getting through there and putting pressure on the quarterback. So we're excited about that unit as well as the front four. On the back end, we lose a couple of guys, but we're excited about some of the guys we have coming up on the back end, secondary as well.
Yeah, Aiden is a good-looking kid. He looks like he's just coming into his own. Aiden Richardson and Thomas Rushing, Coach. I know you graduate your big senior D lineman, but Thomas Rushing looks like a very good player to build around at D line at 6'2", 310, and can really move.
Thomas has been a 2-year starter for us. Thomas, he's one of those guys. He's going to occupy 2 people no matter what, and he has great explosion off the ball, quick hands. Plays with great leverage. Is really great against the run. Also could put some pressure on as well. So, when you have guys like that, you could disrupt. With your front four. It opens up those lanes for linebackers to fill. Also, helps with coverage as well, when you don't have to bring pressure.
Yeah.
So, having guys like that certainly is an advantage for you defensively.
And then you got a couple of really good playmakers at receiver to build around in Nathan Vitale and Brody Rena, 2 really good receivers that can run. Both have good hands. I've seen them play. And I know Brody's dead. He played at North Carolina as a walk-on receiver. He's got the pedigree. And then Nathan's a very good skill player. And then, Coach, your O-line is going to be semi-rebuilt, and you build around Ben DeFore, who's a really good player on the O-line. But, always a lot of guys coming up to compete, right? That's where you need that spring this year, right? You need that spring for those young positions.
Yeah, no doubt. Actually, we've got three returning. Ryan Blanchard had a great year for us last year. Ryan's a big kid. Ryan's probably about 6'2", 285. And then, we moved Ben out to tackle. Actually, his brother was a senior for us last year and got concussed early in the season. And we had a sophomore step in, Dylan Buckle. He was about 220 or so, and Dylan did a fantastic job for us at center. So we had three return starters, and then we have two guys who started some games during the year either because of COVID or an injury. But we're real excited about Gage Buzan. Gage is getting bigger every day and did a great job when he came in and started for us. Also, Hayes Creel is a guy who brings us tremendous size. He had an opportunity to get some time this year. Hayes is about 6'6", 280, 285. Big kid, and certainly, has a big time potential. So we're looking forward to seeing him compete in the spring along with those other guys for an offensive line job.
Yeah, Coach, Hayes Creel is a interesting, intriguing kid. I mean, there's no fat on this kid at 6'6", 6'7", 290. No fat at all. I mean, there's a lot to work with here. And don't you agree he hasn't hit half of his upside yet?
Yeah, his upside's, it's off the charts. But, he's certainly a guy that, along with the other guys, we're not real small on offensive line. Gives us the opportunity to have a good running game. And, if we have good balance as a team, we're going to score some points.
Any teams that you've scheduled, Coach? I know it's up in the air. Nothing's solid, I guess, or maybe you're trying to schedule any scrimmages in the spring or like a spring game opponent this year?
We hadn't found a spring opponent yet. We usually do an intra-squad, which we call a pie bowl. But we filled our pre-district schedule for the year, before we move on to the next contract. We continue to do our scrimmage against Curtis, which is an annual thing, and a great measuring stick early for us in August. And then we didn't have opportunity to do it this year because of COVID, but we always play Rummel in the Jamboree. Is always one of the top programs in the state. So early on, those two measuring sticks for us kind of get us ready, for our pre-district schedule and our district schedule. And, where you stand when you play Curtis and Rummel early on and what you need to get better at really quick.
Coach, who was the greatest skill player that ever come out of St. Paul's? I go back and I look at Nilo Sylvan that went to Tennessee. I just remember how great Nilo was coming out of St. Paul's, and he was one of the first big names I know way back in the beginning. But does anybody really, like, if you think about it, a player that sticks out to you, not that had a workman mentality and also was a great football player at St. Paul's? I know it's hard to pick one, but this one that sticks out as far as hard work and talent.
Well, we put our record boards up in the weight room and in the locker room, and no one's really come close to Nilo, but probably a guy that is close to him on the board that had a great career for us is Dylan Long, who wound up playing at McNeese. Yeah. And Dylan actually was a fullback, but Nilo's records will be hard to pass for anybody, in terms of rushing and receiving. And way back when, I was a special teams coach, and I was the greatest special teams coach in the state at the time with him returning kicks. Actually, I think he wound up making All-State my first year at St. Paul's. I was a special teams coach and wound up making All-State as a kick returner and was a state MVP. Yeah. So I was the greatest special teams coach on the planet. Yeah. Having him back there returning kick.
I think you remember this. He was one of the top 5 track guys in the country too. Remember that when he came?
Yeah.
And he went to Tennessee to run track as well as play football. Coach, what? Who Dylan Long reminds me of? Your son Danny reminds me of Dylan in built and his toughness. They have the same. He's a little taller than Dylan. But I remember how tough Dylan was, how aggressive Dylan was at St. Paul's, and obviously at McNeese State. He did a great job there. But your son has a similar build, a little taller, but similar mindset.
Danny's definitely taller than Dylan was. Maybe it got Dylan by about 5 to 10 pounds when Dylan played, but they run similar. You know, we use Danny on offense for short yardage situations and put him at fullback or H-back for certain situations, but they definitely have the same type of running style. You know, Danny's gift is on, you know, defense for us right now, so that's where we need him. And like I said, he was our top defensive guy last season, but you know, certainly he'll fill a role for us in certain situations. You know, at fullback or that big H-back, and certainly we do use him the same way that we use Dylan. You know, Dylan was every down back, and our offense was a little bit different, and we had a tendency to give Dylan the ball more. But one thing that also Danny said, you know, Dylan was great in the passing game. And Danny's got great hands like Dylan had as well. You know, Dylan was always good to catch a ball on the flats or on a drag or, you know, whatever situation, and or off of a screen and do something with it. And you know, Danny kind of shares that similarity as well when he is on offense.
Coach, a question kind of changing the subject some, but give your thoughts on the college coaches living in the transfer portal in the year 2020 and 21. What is your thoughts on long-term, how it's affected high school kids not signing, not as many? It's 60% down in state with the state colleges taking mostly transfers. But what's your thoughts on seeing this change over the last year and a half?
Well, hey, I'm not a fan of it because it limits opportunities for kids. And you know, I look at some programs that try to build their program on kids, you know, that they actually recruit from the high school. And you know, a high school coach, you know, has to take what walks through the door. But you also, you know, try to keep your groups together, try to keep them tight-knit and build chemistry. And sometimes, you know, you have a lot of transfers that go to these colleges in the portal, and now that COVID hit, you know, it's probably going to become more prevalent, which limits opportunities for high school players to come in and go to college. But, you know, those are the guys that build your program. You know, those are the guys that develop and buy into your program, you know, especially, you know, on that FCS level, you know, and the FBS level as well. You get guys from some other school, you know, I don't know how long they have buy-in or you know, develop chemistry with their teammates for their school. I really think a lot of schools need to rethink their approach on that. And, you know, when you recruit a class that comes in, you want to try to keep that class and keep them together.
Yeah.
You know, but if you add guys, you know, they're junior or going into their senior year, you know, I think it makes it harder for a lot of those schools to build win formulas and chemistry. You know, and that's one thing that we've been good at St. Paul's, and that's just from my perspective. People may disagree or agree with me, but you know, I certainly think that makes it harder to build a lasting program and buy into your school and to your program overall.
Yeah. I want to mention this too. I don't want to leave these kids out, but your 223 class, you have a couple of really good starters. Ethan West, a cornerback that's got a chance to be really good, and Shelby Turner, a tight end, a really good-looking tight end that's got a couple of years left. Coach, final question before we let you go. I heard you have a big hobby riding bikes, like you're an avid bike rider when you're not coaching. Is that true? Yeah.
We have this trace out here, so I like to ride the trace on Sundays. I try to put some mileage in. Also like to do some mountain biking, got a mountain bike as well. A little bit different type of biking, but kind of changes up the jogging in the morning and stuff like that. It takes a lot of pressure off these old knees. But, yeah, and I love riding my bike. It's fun.
Yeah, what a great place to be a bike enthusiast. I mean, that Covington, Mandeville, Madisonville area, that's a beautiful area of the state. Great place to live, great place to raise a family. St. Paul's is a great place to go to school. Coach, thanks for taking the time while you're at school. I'm sure the dean has some work to do pretty soon with some students. But
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time to be with us, and keep doing a great job. This is your 23rd year as the head coach at St. Paul's, and we're looking forward to watching your team play pretty soon.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to getting everything back to normal and operating our program without some of these restrictions. So keeping our fingers crossed, and hopefully the numbers keep moving in the right direction so we can have a normal spring, normal summer, normal season. The kids are dying for that as well. And certainly thank you for having me, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything you do for the kids and for prep football.
Coach, don't hang up yet. I'm going to end the show. Everybody go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com. We have articles. Jace Lejeune and also our interns are writing 4 articles a week on 4 schools in the state. We rotate the cities, and we'll have more articles next week. We will see you on Friday.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.